Hello and welcome to this edition of Beyond the Politics, a regular examination of the events happening right here in the Quinte region and the people who work so hard behind the scenes to make it all happen. I'm your host, Paul Martin. Joining me, returning for his second visit to Beyond the Politics since his election win, is MPP for Hastings, Lennox and Addington, Rick Bresee.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get right into it. Very active time. It's a good thing we were able to have you back again so quickly for the province of Ontario. Many things happening, including not that long ago, another huge advancement, an announcement in what's become a major growth area for the province for the future, which is electric batteries, electric vehicles, and that entire supply chain that leads up to it, which of course has ramifications for this area because we have auto parts companies right here in the Quinte region, and we'll talk about what's going on in Loyalist Township as well. But let's talk about the Volkswagen plant announcement in St. Thomas, because that area has been hungry for some investment like that for quite some time. How great was it for the federal, provincial, and the government of that area to put this together and see that announcement worth several $1 billion?
Absolutely. It's a tremendous opportunity for that area, and it was actually a little bit difficult to put to arrange, certainly. But as you say, that is a strong auto manufacturing area, but have suffered in the last couple of decades, really, because of the downturns and the variations in the automotive sector. But this is an opportunity to bring them back full force. It did have some unusual circumstances to it, in that the property actually was in two different municipalities. Yeah. So we had to kind of push through a bill to change the municipal boundaries and make that happen. It was done with the cooperation of the local municipalities, certainly, but to make sure that that plant and that opportunity could be taken advantage of. Because it doesn't make sense for a company to have to work with literally 3 different municipalities trying to across one, I'll say, adjacent property. So this is an excellent opportunity.
Much closer to home in Loyalist Township. Absolutely. That we haven't heard much about since the original announcement. Can you give us an update on that battery plant and what that is going to mean and where they are right now?
And, that battery plant, we officially announced it last July. Of course, I was very aware of it coming in before that, even before I became the MPP, because I used to be the mayor of Loyalist Township. We were working on this for quite a while beforehand. And again, absolutely amazing partnership between the township, the county, the provincial government. We had discussions with Minister Fedeli. He was the minister still at that point. It has been a long road to get there, but that plant is still going full force, absolutely. I drive by that location on a regular basis. I can tell you that they are already working on what I would call site prep. Right? So they've got some initial stages. It seems very flat at this point, but they are working towards getting that done. I'm in regular conversations with the current political leadership and staff leadership in Loyalist Township and Lennox and Addington County, and no, that is going very well and continuing on. We will see shovels in the ground. Again, it's flat right now because they've been working on it.
Sure.
But we will see that development happening very quickly.
What kind of difference can that make? You're the former mayor. So when you were mayor and while you were getting ready to make that announcement, how much of an economic impact can that make, especially in an area the size of Loyalist Township?
Okay. Loyalist Township is about 18,000 people. This plant is projected to employ about 1,000 people. There aren't 1,000 unemployed people in Loyalist right now. So it will draw people, it will employ people from the city of Kingston, from Belleville, from the entire region around. And on top of that, whenever you have a plant of this nature, you also have all of the services, all of the maintenance, the electricians, the plumbers, the landscape, everything. All of those ancillary services actually feed the local economy all the way around. It is easy to say that there are 2 or 3 times more jobs that are being created because this plant exists, because this development process will go through. Now, there's actually going to be some challenges with the size of the construction crew that will be required for this, and finding accommodations for them while they're here and all of that. Those are growing pains that we certainly have to acknowledge. But what this will do to the economy is absolutely amazing. And even just something as simple as the tax base. The Loyalist Township tax base is going to, I'm going to use the word explode because of this. The assessed, what we're predicting to be the assessed value of this plant is a significant chunk of the entire assessed value of the township, and therefore will dramatically, when it gets there, will dramatically increase the tax revenues for the township and for the county. That will take some time. It's going to be a 2 to 3 year build out to get the plant up and functional, and only then does MPAC do the assessment. And there's something called the CIP, a Community Improvement Plan, which is a way that the township incentivizes investment of this nature by taking it from, it was flat land. It was being used as rented farmland for basically for hay. And the taxes paid on that property are very, very low. The new taxes paid will be very, very high. So there's a graduation. Right? It will go to 25% and then 50% and 75 and 100. So it will take 2 or 3 years to get to the point of completion, and then about 4 years after that before the township actually starts to see that revenue coming through. So to the residents in the area, be patient, it is coming, but there will be a tremendous boost to the revenue for Loyalist Township and for Lennox and Addington County just because of this one facility.
Is it also going to be looked at as kind of a blueprint, which is to say, and I'll qualify that. So, of course, Windsor is a decently large area that's had a lot of industrial investment of comparable sizes, maybe not something specifically of that size before. You get to St. Thomas, well, St. Thomas hasn't had this, but St. Thomas used to be an auto industry hub. So they're familiar with how that works, what kind of goes into it, some of the infrastructure in terms of road work as well is already there. Loyalist Township, and this is not an insult to Loyalist Township, has never seen anything even close to this size before. So,
honestly, it has. Right? There used to be what was called the Celanese plant on basically the same property that employed at times up to 1,500 people. So this is back, it was built in the 50s and was active into the 80s. I think it finally shut down completely in the 90s. So it has had these large industrial. The Alston plant, which builds and tests train components just north of that, has gone through various stages. At one point was UTDC, if you remember that name, became Bombardier, and it is now Alstom. Again, has at times been down as low as a couple hundred employees, is now back up over 500 employees. So we have had some experience, but in building something new like this, of this size is tremendous. I do have to mention, actually, Loyalist Township just had a grand opening on Wednesday for something called the Latham Pool manufacturing site. That will, right now it's about 75 employees. When it gets up to full capacity, it'll be about 200 employees, and is the largest fiberglass pool manufacturer in North America. It will be the single largest site for that. So again, that project, the Umicore project, really highlight the fact that there's a sweet spot that's happening right now for Eastern Ontario, for our region, to say that we've got the places, we've got the infrastructure, we've got the people to make these things happen. We are a great place to invest for large industrial operations right now, and we're learning how to do it, as you said.
Is this also the right on the edge of your, and partially sort of on the edge of your riding, Amazon, here more in urban Belleville? Is that also the lesson we should take from the Amazon announcement, which is to say big companies, world-class companies, companies that are looking to put their first operations are taking Eastern Ontario seriously because they're getting the level of cooperation and buy-in that they need?
Yeah. And I very much agree with that statement, and I would echo what I said earlier. Right? Actually, it was in our conversation earlier. Ontario is now being recognized as the #1, maybe #2 location in the world for electric vehicle investment, for battery investment. But that is echoing across all industries. Right? The world is seeing that Ontario is ready and open for business, and we're making it happen. Right? So we're getting the employment. One of the challenges with that is we're getting the employment, we also need the housing, we also need the people. We need to train the people for skilled trades, and we're doing that. We need the immigration to make sure that it all happens. And it all has to kind of happen, I'll say, in tandem and at the right pace. Because if one of them skyrockets ahead of the other, we start to have challenges. So we're working towards trying to keep pace with all of that. In our housing, in our healthcare, in our education, in skilled trades development, all of these pieces need to move together to make it happen. And I think the province is actually doing a very good job at trying to move all of those pieces together.
Now, speaking of moving, one of the things that has to happen to support all these industries is the Belleville East Ontario route and, of course, the expansion of the 401 to 6 lanes all the way through, which is something that we'll need here in Belleville and, of course, in Loyalist Township.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a lot more traffic going into there as well. So how hopeful are you that that proceeds in the near future, and what have you heard on that?
The Eastern Ontario Transportation Plan was released last year. It very specifically included expanding the to 3 lanes, or 6 lanes, whichever way you want to look at it, right, all the way across Eastern Ontario. It is on our agenda. It is going to happen. I know that the Ministry of Transportation is already working on this. They're looking at the land acquisitions that they require. They're looking at the surveys, all of that. There's a lot of engineering and a lot of planning that goes into any of these types of projects. So the whole project, admittedly, is going to take years. There's no question about that. But it is definitely on the agenda to move forward and expand these highways.
Now, one thing actually I wanted to talk to each of you, and I'll start with you, Rick, about is we're now sort of COVID's still here, still a health challenge, but this summer it seems like people are able to do more things. And when you talk about the business of government, when you talk about the business of entertainment, how will this summer to you be different than it has been the last couple of summers? Do you find that the landscape is changing and it's easier to get things done because people maybe aren't quite as either concerned or have to take as many precautions?
In fact, I would say that there is built up demand. I've attended a number of events. I was at a Lions Club fish fry just a week and a half ago or so, and there were people lined up outside the door. There's a lot of people really wanting to get out in public, see their community, see their friends that they may not have seen over the past few years, and get involved in upbeat and optimistic things that are going on. I think this will be an absolutely amazing summer for all of these activities, and we'll see people out in droves. So it's going to be a fun summer.
Buzz is one of the people who's providing that lift to people. Do you find the same thing? Are people excited about it? Are you getting more requests for events? And how anxious are you to get out and really perform on a more regular basis for bigger crowds?
Yeah, it's certainly there's more demand. You know, it's funny. Before the pandemic, I spent a lot of money, time, and effort to market my business, my side business, and this year as well as last year, I haven't done a lick of marketing, and my schedule is just getting busier and busier. People want to get out. People want, and not only the people. I'm not just talking about spectators, but potential clients. There's more events being put on, and it's very encouraging to say the least.
What did you see many changes during the pandemic at gigs? Like, did it have a different feel to it when you did it, say, last summer?
Well, let's just say during the pandemic, I could count on one hand over 2 years how many shows I did. And it was very challenging, especially for the type of entertainment that I do, where you're bringing people up on stage and you're typically interacting with them physically and whatnot. So for those shows through the pandemic that I did do, I had to rejig things drastically. It was quite a challenge. So to be able to kind of get back into some sense of normalcy is fantastic.
Rick, what is the message you really want to get out to people about what's going on this summer in Ontario? As an MPP, what do you tell people about what they should be looking to do or what you hope they do this summer?
The first thing I would say is that we have the single most beautiful area in the world as far as I'm concerned. The lakes, the rocks up north, the agricultural communities, the shoreline to the south. We just have an absolutely amazingly beautiful area, and I really want people to get out and enjoy it and see the sights. Right? There's an optimism, there's a growth that's happening right now that I haven't seen in most of my life. I haven't seen this kind of optimism. It is really wonderful to experience, and I think that the more people get out and visit with other people, sit in the local coffee shops and buy the local the donuts or whatever it may be, they're going to have a wonderful time.
Well, we're looking forward to a great summer. Thank both of you for being here. We also look forward to the passage of Garrett's Legacy Act in the fall. This has been a special edition of Beyond the Politics.